guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm showing you my brand new Squier Classic Vibe 70s Jazzmaster. Let's check it out. It was my birthday a couple of weeks ago and I have been after one of these Jazzmasters for quite a while, so I thought I would treat myself. I've been seeing them kind of disappear off the websites over the last couple of weeks, and I thought I'd better, if I want to get one, I better strike while the iron is hot. So this is a Classic Vibe 70s Jazzmaster, and it's a Fender Special Run edition. So it's Lake Placid blue and it's got a matching headstock as well. I don't think they do a 70s Jazzmaster in the regular Classic Vibe runs. Maybe I'm wrong there, but maybe that's partly why this is an FSR. But I've been looking and the only ones I can find are the 50s and 60s. So if you know different, let me know in the comments. I guess that's what makes this a Fender Special Run as well as the colour. Well, before we take a look at the specs of the guitar, if you are enjoying the video and you like the content on the channel, please do consider subscribing and liking the video. It really does help the channel. Cheers. So let's start at the body then. It is a lightweight poplar body, and of course it is in Lake Placid blue. The neck is a bound maple neck with an Indian laurel fretboard with perloid block inlays, and of course I mentioned that painted headstock. I love a matching headstock. Hardware, you've got your regular kind of Squier hardware, but what I'm really pleased to see on these Classic Vibes is that they've changed these bridges for the Mustang style bridge, and honestly so far I've had a lot of success with this bridge. You've got vintage style tuners and the classic kind of Jazzmaster Jaguar vibrato. So on the electronics front, you've got two Fender designed Alnico Jazzmaster pickups, and then you've got your kind of traditional Jazzmaster control layout. Being a Jazzmaster rather than the shorter scale Jaguar, it does of course have the full 25.5 inch scale length, and it has a 9.5 inch fretboard radius. So we'll do a quick sound demo, probably going to avoid the rhythm circuit and just give you a demo of the neck and bridge in the lead circuit. And then I've also got a track that I've been working on that will play and show you some of the sounds you can get out of this when you bring in the pedal board and what have you. Right, let's do some quick pickup sounds then. I'm going into my Dream 65 amp sim pedal as usual, and then into my interface. Here's a bridge pickup. Let's go middle. And finally neck. And we'll put a little bit of drive on that as well. We'll go back to bridge. So that's a bit of drive from the Origin Effects Halcyon Green Overdrive. And we'll go middle position again. And then let's check out the neck. I'm gonna attempt a demo track thing. So what do I think about this guitar now that I've had it for a few days? I've done a setup on it, I've had a chance to play it quite a bit. I do have some thoughts. So what do I like about it then? Well, I like the colour. I really like the Fender Special Run stuff. This looks a lot like one of the Fender American Vintage 2 series Jazzmasters. So probably quite inspired by that, to be fair. But yeah, it's a really cool, classy look, I think. I really like the colour. I really love the matching headstock. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the finish. You know, I think at this price point, you kind of expect it not to be completely perfect. And there are a couple of little blemishes here and there. There's one here, a small little thing going on here. But overall, it's really, really good, to be honest. There's no cracks or anything like that. Yeah, just really nice. Really nice finish. Now, I was also really surprised at how good this guitar sounds. And, you know, I guess my experience with Squiers was from the 90s, when they perhaps weren't quite as good as they are now. I know this is, you know, the Classic Vibe range, so you got the pricing tier a little bit more, so you are getting slightly better kind of hardware and finishing and what have you. But I just thought it sounded really great. I probably will eventually do some upgrades, but for now I'm quite happy with the way the pickup sounds, so that's cool. So after a setup, it plays great. Like, honestly, I'm blown away at how well it plays. There's no obvious high frets or anything like that. There's no buzzing out on the fretboard. There's no particularly sharp fret ends. I mean, you could, you know, round them off a little bit more and make them even more comfortable. But for the money you pay for this, the finish on it, honestly, is really, really quite good. One thing I found particularly surprising is the vibrato bridge. I did have a Squier Classic Vibe Jaguar a while back, and I did change out the bridge. And that one, it wasn't very good, but this one just seems to work really, really well. Like, really stable, no tuning issues. But yeah, it's just been really stable, and it's a really nice smooth action on the vibrato. The arm stays where you need it to be. It's quite stiff. That's what she said. It doesn't move around, you know. It's just, yeah, really, really quite surprised. The tuners, they feel maybe a little bit cheap, but no problems with the tuners at all, with stability and what have you. So yeah, I'm just really quite surprised at how good the hardware is. So just one caveat, of course, is that they do feel like, you know, quite lightweight metal. It doesn't feel like particularly good quality metal, but, you know, function-wise, it's working great. So onto the things that I wasn't quite so impressed with. The setup on this was atrocious. Firstly, I have no idea why they put 9s on these from the factory. That just doesn't work for Jazzmasters, I don't think anyway. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you love 9s on yours. But I find that you have to have 10s on this. Yeah, I did quite a lot of setup work on this. I put a shim in the neck to get the angle pitched back a little bit. One really annoying thing about the bridge that I didn't mention is the little Allen screws that set your bridge height. They have a tendency to work loose as you play. So what you'll find is that the bridge just gradually sinks down to the point where the guitar becomes unplayable. It's a really easy fix. You just put some Loctite on those screws and then set your height. But it's just, you know, something that seems like it would be quite easy to fix at the factory. I did find that the nut needed quite a bit of work. The strings were binding in the nut, so, you know, causing you tuning problems. And obviously I went up a gauge in strings, so I had to do a bit of work to get the slightly thicker strings to sit in the nut properly. The fretboard was extremely dry and pale looking. It looked a little bit sorry for itself. So I've used the Monty's Relic Wax on here to kind of bring it back to life, and it looks really good now, to be honest. With it being the Relic Wax, it's got the added bonus of kind of darkening the fretboard a little bit more, so it looks a lot more like rosewood. Still doesn't quite feel like rosewood. I always find that the Laurel fretboards feel quite a bit drier even when you have treated them, but you know, looks wise, looks the part now. Speaking about the fretboard, the frets desperately needed a fret polish. They were horrible. Really scratchy, quite corroded. Yeah, just not very nice to play. It's not a big job, and you know, again, what can you really expect at this price range? The thing I always really struggle with the whole cheap guitar, bad setup, and bad frets and what have you, is that, you know, these are the guitars that people getting into the instrument are going to buy, and you know, they're not going to have the knowledge to correct these things for themselves, and they might not even realize that there is a problem, and you know, it can put people off playing. I don't really know what the solution is, because I think some of these stores are, you know, they've got such high volume of sales of the cheaper guitars that it would be relatively impossible for them to actually do setups on all of them. But perhaps some of the smaller stores could take more time on these guitars, you know. I don't know, it's a difficult one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Finally, the only other negative thing, and I sound like I've got quite a lot, don't I? But the only other thing is the neck feel on the back. It's obviously a poly gloss finish, but it feels quite thick. You know, I'm used to my Strat, which has the finish sanded off the back of the neck completely, and my Telly, which is one of the Wharton series, the Jason Isbell, so it's not got an awful lot of finish on the neck. This does feel quite plasticky. It's not bad, you know. It sounds like a ridiculous complaint, really. It just doesn't quite feel like, you know, my other guitars. I might take some sandpaper to it and take the finish off, although that's quite a drastic solution, and it's quite tricky on poly necks. What I might do is just take some wire wool to it to kind of take some of the gloss off it and make it a bit more of a satin finish. But yeah, look, overall, I'm really chuffed with this. It's a really nice guitar for not a lot of money. I paid $379. So I've got some plans for it. I want to do a load of upgrades on this guitar, but I want your help. I want to know what you think I should do with this. What pickups are good for Jazzmasters? What electronics should I go with? Should I look at bridge and vibrato upgrades? I know there's some really cool options on the market for that. So let me know in the comments, you know, have you got any good ideas? Well, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thanks so much for watching. And again, if you are enjoying the content on the channel, do consider subscribing. If you're interested in any of the other guitars I've got in my collection, you could check out the video I did on the Epiphone Wino Jerry Cantrell model. That's over here. And I also did a video on the Adam Jones Les Paul Custom Signature. You can check that out down here. Right, well, that about wraps things up. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Today I'm showing you my brand new Classic Vibe Jaguar. It's not a Jaguar. It's not a Jaguar.